In the beginning of this story, we see a girl named Haoru being given special treatment by the hero of this anime, Kizuna. In reality, he has this special ability where he could charge and increase the hybrid hearts count of girls and make them super strong just by getting close with them to develop plot in a special way that doesn't need explanation. Recharged, Haoru shouts, "Neros," and she became encased in her heart hybrid gear. She then attacks and destroys an alien invader robot with ease. Just then another girl, Ain, arrives and takes Kizuna to a special room for plot development as she claims that she's next to be recharged by Kizuna's charger even though her hybrid heart count was still high. The scene flashes to time when Kizuna's older sister invited him to a girls' school because he had this ability where he can recharge any girl's mana energy by spending very intimate moments with them. Kizuna arrives at his new school, Ataraxia, and sees a big-hearted girl named Ain. Meanwhile, Kizuna also notices another cute girl, but then his older sister Rari calls him to the headquarters. Kizuna explains to her that his grades aren't great and he might be expelled, but Rari tells him she doesn't want to hear any excuses and angrily summons him to the headquarters. Rushing to find the headquarters, Kizuna gets lost and encounters a very beautiful girl. Seeing her, Kizuna gets shy. The girl approaches him, but he can't say anything, so she mocks him, saying he doesn't even know the language and asks where he's from. Her name is Ain. Looking at her, Kizuna thinks she's very hot, but also wonders what she thinks of herself. Ain tells Kizuna to worship her, and then she'll consider being his friend. Kizuna, being a Chad, bluntly refuses. Suddenly, a siren from the school goes off, which signals the arrival of enemy. As soon as Ain heard the alarm, she starts removing her clothes in front of Kizuna, making him shy again. However, we learn that Ain was taking off her clothes to wear her hybrid heart gear, not for the other reason Kizuna thought. Soon, a mecha robot attacks from the sky, and Ain fires her gun at it, but the robot is unharmed. So, Ain flies up in the sky to fight the robot while the students of the school create a barrier around it. Ain can't defeat the robot, so she pulls out a weapon from the ground. Suddenly, a whole army of robots appears from the sky, and Ain flies again to fight them. Kizuna decides he should wear his gear to help her, but a huge robot sneaks up behind him and attacks. A cute girl named Haoru saves him and asks what a student is doing here. Just then, the robots surround them and an attack occurs, carried out by Ain, who taunts Haoru and asks if Kizuna is her boyfriend. Hearing this, Haoru gets shy. Meanwhile, Ain is fighting the robots but starts losing power as her gear gets discharged. Ain begins to fall, but Kizuna wears his gear and catches her. Ain faints, and Kizuna gets a call from Rari, who informs him that Ain's gear is discharged and he needs to recharge it by massaging her body in an erotic way. Hearing this, Kizuna gets very shy, but being a boy, he can't refuse, so he begins. Slowly, Ain starts regaining consciousness, and her gear gets recharged. Overcharged, actually. When Ain opens her eyes and realizes how Kizuna recharged her, she punches him hard, sending him flying. However, her gear becomes even more powerful after getting charged by Kizuna's charger, and she easily defeats the entire robot army. Watching this, Haoru praise Ain, saying she looks completely different. Ain then looks at Kizuna and wonders who this boy is, while Kizuna starts thinking about Ain's precious and soft. In the next scene, Rari explains that 15 years ago, alien ships came to Earth through a portal and attacked many countries, leaving very few survivors. She explains that after 2 weeks of attack the aliens retreated and the portal closed. However, 6 months ago, the aliens reappeared in the Second World Collision. In the intervening period, Earth developed the heart hybrid gear, and Kizuna is a key component in this strategy. She introduces Team Amerasu, which will protect the school and Earth. To make the team stronger, Rari chose Kizuna, who can increase the girls' powers by spending intimate moments with them, a process to increase the hybrid heart in girls, increasing their battle powers. Rari plays a video of Kizuna and Ain, which embarrasses Haoru, who starts thinking Kizuna is a pervert and gets very angry at him. Kizuna tries to explain he's not a pervert, but in the video, Kizuna is shown taking off his shirt, making everyone call him a pervert. The next day, Kizuna wakes up in his room to find Ain sitting on top of him, wanting to do plot development to increase her power. Meanwhile, To comes to the door to apologize to Kizuna because she misunderstood him. But when she enters, she sees Ain on top of Kizuna and yells at them, calling him a shameless animal. Ain tries to explain she came there on her own to increase her power, but Haoru doesn't listen and puts on her gear. Ain also wears her gear, and both attack each other, destroying Kizuna's room. In the next scene at school, some girls talk about Kizuna and how shameless he is, but Eurishia defends him, saying not to judge him yet. Then we see Kazuna entering in the classroom, and Euryshiya welcomes him, expressing her need for power and recharging from him. Hearing this, Hiro says, "This is a classroom. You can't do such things here." Ain replies, "Then we can do it outside, right?" To this, Hiro exclaims, "No, you can't do it anywhere." At that moment, a girl named Sylvia arrives and informs Kazuna that Commander Rari has called him. Kazuna goes to the hybrid research lab, where he sees a picture of his mother. Rari introduces him to the lab director, who communicates through AI instead of direct communication. This feels strange to him. Then, Rari gives him a device and explains that it contains all the secrets of the Ataraxia team. This device will also show the hybrid heart gear count of the girls, and if it drops below 5, he must recharge their gears immediately. How to recharge them is something we all know. Then Rari appoints Kazuna as the captain of the Amerasu team, shocking him. However, Rari also assigns him a mission. Now Kazuna, along with the girls, heads out for the mission, which involves collecting data from an island. During the mission briefing, Euryshiya is informed that her gear count is very low, so she must avoid fighting, otherwise, she'll have to prepare for some plot development. The group arrives on the island and begins collecting data that will take 2 hours. Meanwhile, Euryshiya takes our brother to explore the island. While walking behind her, Kazuna gets shy, noticing Euryshiya's figure. She asks him about his kill score, and he replies with 0. Euryshiya proudly states that her kill score is 300. Kazuna explains that this is his first fight. As they move ahead, a portal opens, and enemies arrive, including a mysterious girl. Euryshiya wears her gear and starts fighting while Kazuna tries to contact Rari, but the signal breaks. Elsewhere, Haoru and Ain are surrounded by enemies. Euryshiya asks Kazuna to call Haoru and Ain, but he refuses to leave her alone. Euryshiya convinces him that he would only slow her down, so he reluctantly leaves. As he departs, Kazuna notices that Euryshiya's gear count is decreasing. Meanwhile, a strange robot dragoid appears before Euryshiya. Her body begins to falter, and she experiences chest pain. Dragoid prepares to attack her, but Kazuna arrives just in time and saves her. However, they are thrown far away due to the impact, injuring Kazuna. Euryshiya asks why he came back, and he replies, "A girl was in danger, so I had to be the hero." Hearing this, Euryshiya feels shy. He proceeds to grab Euryshiya's precious plots, making her fluster. Kazuna increases her gear count with the usual tickling. Euryshiya goes wild, her gear gets recharged, and she performs a powerful attack called Hellfire, completely destroying the dragoid. Watching this, the mysterious girl gets angry and leaves. Meanwhile, before Ain can attack, the enemies retreat, and the signal returns. Rari asks if everyone is okay. In the next scene, they return to the lab, where the director explains that the island's size suddenly started increasing, which Rari already suspected. Kazuna shares that Euryshiya was in a lot of pain when her hybrid heart count was low. Later, in Kazuna's room, Ain was waiting on his bed, of course, to increase her power. However, Euryshiya barges in and grabs Kazuna, making Ain jealous. Then Haoru also arrives, feeling shy again upon seeing the situation. All three put on their gears, but Kazuna pleads with them to stop fighting in his room. The next day, Ain is seen training, inspiring Sylvia, who also wants to be like Ain. Kazuna praises Ain, but she is unaffected, having heard compliments many times before. Meanwhile, Euryshiya and Haoru are also training. At the hybrid lab, Rari observes that Kazuna successfully increases girls' powers, and everything is going as planned. Later, at school, Euryshiya surprises Kazuna by grabbing him from behind and asks him to go on a date. In the next scene, they visit a place called Kyoto Float. They take many photos around the temple, and evening falls. Euryshiya tells Kazuna she had a lot of fun today. Kazuna asks if she enjoys going out, and Euryshiya explains that she wasn't like this before. Since Kazuna saved her, she has changed. She wants to explore more, learn more, and love more. Hearing this, Kazuna feels shy. In the next scene, it's nighttime and Kazuna is heading home. Just then he encounters Haoru, whom he joins and asks why she's out so late. Haoru responds teasingly, "Oh, such a shameless boy is asking me this?" However, she continues, "Anyway, I really like this school and want to have lots of fun with my friends." As they walk, Haoru slips and almost falls, but Kazuna catches her, and both of them become embarrassed. At that moment, a red light emits from Haoru, signaling that she needs to perform a hybrid plot development. However, Haoru becomes flustered and exclaims, "Oh no, when did I turn into such a lewd person?" In the next scene, we see Ain training rigorously. Haru comments that Ain loves fighting and works extremely hard. Meanwhile, back in the lab, Rary discovers that Ain is also compatible for a hybrid connection with our protagonist. The story shifts to the school, where our protagonist tries to gather information about Ain from other girls, but they say she rarely smiles and they don't know much about her. At this moment, Ain appears and takes Kizuna to a park. However, he struggles to initiate a conversation, so Ain asks him if he's eaten. When he says no, she offers him a sandwich. Curious, he asks, "Is this handmade?" Ain replies sarcastically, "No, I bought it from a store. What do you expect? Should I grow wheat, bake bread, and make sandwiches just for you?" Embarrassed by her wit, Kizuna starts kneeling and shouting, "Please forgive me." Ain then surprises him by lifting her skirt, ready to perform a hybrid plot development, claiming that it's necessary to enhance her power. To boost his motivation, she even unbuttons her shirt, explaining, "This is just for power enhancement. I don't want Eurishia or Haoru to take you away from me." Reluctantly, Kizuna agrees and begins the process to recharge her hybrid heart, which, of course, I can't show here. However, midway, he hesitates, causing Ain to run away. Later, Rary calls him to the lab and shows him where experiments were conducted on him in his childhood, as requested by his mother. Kizuna then inquires about Ain's background. Rary explains that she knows little about Ain's past, except that she arrived in Tokyo alone 7 years ago with no name or identity. His mother took her in, raised her, and used her in experiments until she mysteriously disappeared one day. Kizuna expresses a desire to understand Ain better. Rary warns him that there isn't much time because if the hybrid heart count drops to 0, the girls will die. She reveals that the energy source for their gear is none other than him. This revelation enrages him, and he accuses Rary of putting the girls' lives in danger for her selfish motives. Rary fires back, "What else can I do? This is the only way to fight the enemy. I know I'm going to hell for this, but it's my responsibility to ensure their survival." The next scene shifts back home, where Sylvia welcomes him and prepares a meal for him, saying, "Don't worry too much." Kizuna thanks her. Meanwhile, Eurishia reminisces over the photos she took with him. The following day, the enemy launches a massive attack. Rary sends Ain, Hyoru, and Eurishia to fight. Kizuna wants to join, but Rary forbids him, saying, "Your time will come later." On the battlefield, Eurishia eliminates several robots with a massive blast, Hyoru uses her sword-like weapon skillfully, and Ain fights hand-to-hand, claiming, "I'm number one." She faces a formidable robot named Dragger but begins to lose energy rapidly. Despite the risks, Ain refuses to back down and attacks the robot, ultimately destroying it. However, her stubbornness causes her to take heavy damage. Kizuna rushes to save her, but she collapses from the strain and wakes up in the lab. There, he confronts her, trying to stop her from reckless fighting. Ain reveals her insecurities and says she has nothing besides her hybrid gear, no name, no family, no past. She confesses that Dr. Nayata, Kizuna's mother, told her she had an immortal weapon that could only be activated by being close to him. That's why she cooked for him, read dirty books to seduce him, and tried everything to succeed but failed. Hearing this, the protagonist reassures her, saying, "A person's worth isn't determined by their abilities but by their actions." Touched by his words, Ain allows him to perform the hybrid plot development, which fully restores her energy and hybrid heart count. She returns to the battlefield as a supercharged hero, unveils her immortal weapon, and annihilates the enemy with a massive blast. After the victory, the group celebrates with a party. Later, Ain tells Kizuna that during her climax hybrid she recovered some of her childhood memories, and wants to do it again. Before they can, Eurishia and Haoru join, leading to another amusing scuffle among the girls. The next day, Kizuna is very happy because, after a long time, he will get to take a bath. So, filled with enthusiasm, Kizuna rushes into the bathroom, where he finds Haoru already inside. She gets embarrassed upon seeing Kizuna, and before he can say anything, Haoru suits up in her gear and attacks him. The following day, we learn that Rary deliberately sent Kizuna to Haoru's bathroom, hoping something might happen between them. This is because Kizuna has successfully developed plot with Eurishia and Ain but hasn't done so with Hayato. Angry about this, Haoru storms off, thinking she will never engage in such acts with Kizuna. In the next scene, Haoru is seen sneakily observing Kizuna in class, which Kizuna notices, making her embarrassed. Kizuna resolves that no matter how much people call him a pervert, he will never let any girl die. Later, Rary calls her brother to a warehouse and shows him a device that can change the room's atmosphere and even switch outfits. Kizuna initially thinks it's for training, but Rary explains it's designed to enhance the girl's sensation, making the hybrid plot development experience more enjoyable and powerful. To demonstrate, Rary changes her outfit into a bunny costume, which looks stunning and even embarrasses Kizuna. First, Kizuna calls Euryshiya into the room and changes her dress using the device. They have a lot of fun in the room, increasing their power and recharging Euryshiya in the process. However, Kizuna feels guilty, thinking this is wrong despite enjoying it. The next day, we see a boy and a girl are planning to go on a date when Haoru arrives and disrupts their plans. At the same time, Kizuna approaches Haoru and invites her on a date, intending to proceed their hybrid process. However, Sylvie interrupts, showing Kizuna her marks, and Haoru gets her chance to escape. In the next scene, Rary informs everyone that they've received a signal from a place called Guan, where there might be survivors. They need to investigate the area. On the island, the team splits up, with Kizuna and Haoru going one way, and Ain and Euryshiya another. Kizuna and Haoru reach a destroyed city where Haoru finds a teddy bear, causing her to reminisce. They move forward and encounter an extremely attractive girl who introduces herself as Aldea with heart hybrid gear, who claims to represent the empire of Batlantis in the other dimension, which exists in another world. Aldea, who is allied with the enemies, attacks them. They dodge her attack, and Haoru retaliates, but Aldea effortlessly counters them. Kizuna creates a shield but gets thrown back. Suddenly, Euryshiya appears and blasts the area, followed by Ain joining the fight. Aldea seems to know Ain, and they start fighting. However, the team's attacks fail to harm Aldea. Aldea then summons a three-headed dragon Magitech. Furious, Haoru charges at it, but its armor is too strong. Ain and Euryshiya also attack, with Euryshiya blasting it, yet the dragon remains unscathed. Haoru becomes angrier and attempts to attack again, but Kizuna orders her not to. The team eventually retreats. Aldea's magic depletes, so she doesn't chase after them. In the next scene, the director reveals that Aldea is the first entity from another world they have encountered. Hearing this, Haoru recalls something and suggests returning to Guan to capture Aldea for information. However, Rary forbids her. Haoru insists on going to Guan, arguing with the others before storming off in anger. Kizuna goes to check on her, but Haoru is not in her room. In the next scene, she has already reached Guan, where Aldea awaits her, and Haoru initiates an attack on her. But she was unable to stand against Aldea. Aldea traps Haoru in a cube and declares she will cut her into tiny pieces. Saying this, Aldea applies immense pressure on Haoru's body, causing her great pain. At this moment, Euryshiya and Kizuna arrive, bringing Haoru back to consciousness. Ain also joins the scene and attacks Aldea, who asks for Ain's name. Ain replies, "My name is Ain," shocking Aldea. Aldea refuses to fight Ain but continues to be attacked by her. In response, Aldea summons the three-headed dragon and challenges Ain to demonstrate her power. However, the dragon overpowers Ain and Euryshiya. Seeing this, Haoru attempts to join the fight but loses her gear due to insufficient hybrid heart power. At this point, Rary arrives via helicopter, carrying the entire hybrid plot development room, and says, "Here's the room, start the program." Kizuna carries Haoru into the room, where she expresses her guilt about putting the team in danger. Kizuna asks if the three-headed dragon, a Magitech weapon, has any connection to her since she keeps recalling something. Haoru explains that she has encountered it before during the second enemy attack on Earth. Many survivors, including a little girl, were fleeing, but the enemies attacked again. Haoru was unable to save anyone and has blamed herself ever since. She reveals that she attended many interviews and parties but regrets not working harder to become stronger, as she has never been able to save anyone. Kizuna reminds her that she saved him in the first episode. He then suggests that if they work together, specifically hybridize, they can save others. Embarrassed, Haoru blushes as Kizuna changes the room's atmosphere and takes her in his arms. The plot development begins, and while Haoru feels shy, she gains immense power as Kizuna's charger starts recharging her hybrid heart. Returning to the battlefield, Haoru creates a weapon and slashes the dragon in one blow, shocking Aldea. Kizuna also launches an attack, showcasing his abilities. Kizuna's attack stems from his hybrid with Haoru, as her abilities are powerful. Together, they surround and attack Aldea, who, while not defeated, faces continuous assaults from all sides. Aldea then summons a portal that brings in numerous battleships. To aid the heroes, a massive platform emerges from the water, carrying a team called the Masters, whom Eurysthea already knows. Eldia prepares for a fight but is interrupted by a girl named Grabble, who recalls her. Eldia and all the ships retreat into the portal. In the next scene, everyone asks Hayoru where she got her immense power. She reveals that she got charged by Kazuna's charger and got immense powers because there was no other choice. And with that, part 1 of Hybrid X Heart concludes. If this video gets 1,000 likes and 100 comments, I'll make part 2 where you can see Kazuna and Rary in Sweet Home Alabama. For more such recaps, subscribe to the channel.